Coming up on Hot Up Hiker.
Answering the question, is it safe to use aluminium pots while hiking? What are the alternatives and are they safe? I need to put this on first. There we are, that's better. If you read my comments, this is a toxic death trap, a poisonous, dangerous menace, and I'm pushing fake news from big aluminium. It's lightweight, it's cheap, and apparently it's going to erase my memories faster than tequila hangover. Yeah, it's a depressingly common belief that aluminium gives you Alzheimer's, it's toxic, it's dangerous, it's bad for your health. There's just one problem with that theory. Those pesky scientists, you know, the people who use things like fact, logic, and science, you know, those silly things, they don't agree with that at all. So is it true? No. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll speak to you soon. Are you still here? Oh, you want more? Oh, okay. And my hat fell off, which is about right. A long time ago, way back into time, 2 years, which is aeons in YouTube time, I did a video called Titanium Scam in this very garden. 6th video I ever did, and it's still got the most amount of views. And most of the reason for that, half the comments disagreeing with me about titanium, which is kind of understandable, and the other half are telling me these very comments, which is that I'm pushing the dangerous belief that aluminium is safe and that you should use pots like this. Sadly, it started spreading to my camping moon video because I offhandedly said, don't talk to me about aluminium. Just that one little comment. I'm already getting comments about that. So I thought I'd make this video as a response video to Titanium Scam. This is going to be a factual video answering the question, is it safe to use aluminium pots while hiking? What are the alternatives and are they safe? I'm going to cite sources. They're going to be all down in the description and also flashed on screen as well. I want to put this to rest because I've been answering all these comments on my YouTube video for years. In 1965, scientists, probably for fun, injected rabbits' brains with aluminium salts, I think it was, and surprise, surprise, they got brain damage. What they found, something which is, here comes the science, tangles and fibers of misfolded protein in the brain looked very similar, and note that word, similar, to what happens in Alzheimer's patients. Unless you inject this pot directly into your frontal lobe, it really doesn't apply to you. What has been proven is that aluminium is higher in the brains of those with Alzheimer's. What they're not sure about is why and whether that's a cause or a symptom. Back in the 60s and 70s, with 3 studies which have been all debunked now, they thought that it was a cause. Nowadays, they think it's a symptom. People's Alzheimer's, their bodies and their brains aren't doing their job at purging aluminium out of the body, because that's what your body does. The rest is just thrown away. It's just developed by your kidneys. So the scientists, Alzheimer's Research UK, Alzheimer's Society UK and US all agree that there is no risk to people from aluminium pots like this. The Alzheimer's Society UK says, no convincing evidence linking aluminium to dementia. Let's have a little break. Let's have a tea break. New, having a tea break in the middle of a video. Yeah. Look at that. The thing about aluminium is it's naturally in a lot of foods, from tea, chocolate, spinach. 8% of the Earth's crust is aluminium. It's the 3rd most common element in the Earth. And also it's added into bread, pickling, cosmetics. Aluminium is everywhere, naturally or unnaturally. Me sitting in the garden with all the traffic going by, you can probably hear the traffic. I'm probably getting more aluminium from the cars going by than using this on a hike. And here comes the likely source of the woo. Vaccines contain tiny traces of aluminium, which is probably where a lot of this stuff is coming from. Only a very tiny fraction of it actually can be absorbed into the bloodstream, 0.1%, 1%, something like that. That doesn't mean it necessarily gets into the brain. Large industrial doses are bad for you, and the cases that are mentioned in the scientific reports that are similar to those rabbits in 1965 are people who have industrial massive doses, usually aluminium powder, so it's inhaled, which is different, at a level that you would never get in a million years from domestic use or using a pot on your hike. That is not the same. The crazy thing is people are scared of the 0.002 milligrams of aluminium maybe leaching from a pot like this. Aluminium in your chocolate, in your tea, your spinach, your fruit, your vegetables naturally, in your pancakes, it's in your anti-caking agents and your deodorant you're using, and you cooked with tin foil, which is Clue by 4. Tin foil is aluminium. Or if you didn't cook, the containers from the Chinese takeaway, they're aluminium. You're getting exposure to aluminium all the time, probably at a higher rate than you would get from cooking in a pot a couple of weeks a year. Now, we're not talking about Teflon, PTFE, PFAS, polyfluoroalkyl substances, all of those forever chemicals as they're called. And that's a different thing. And hiking pots generally aren't actually used. The grey-black hiking pots are heavily anodized aluminium, which also seals it in. Again, I've seen that in the comments, and it's like, they're not. I think I've got one maybe that could be, but I think it's anodized actually. What about titanium? Titanium. For those who hate money and love burnt food, the long and short of it is they're only really for boiling water. I wouldn't cook with them. You're likely to burn your food. It just sticks to the bottom. It did with me. The thing about titanium is that it's non-reactive and quite safe, and you use it in implants in the bodies because it doesn't react. Someone said you could actually season titanium, which is amazing since it's got an oxide which stops anything sticking to it. So yeah, the comments have been a laugh for the last 2 years. But I have to have an apology because I responded to the comments talking about titanium dioxide. Now in 2021, E171, which is titanium dioxide, it's a white substance used to make things like donuts and pastries and things whiter. It's used in paints to make things white, was banned. And the reason for the ban was nanoparticles, and they possibly could bind into cells. It's very different from the oxide that's on your pot, but I really wouldn't scratch it. The white stuff is probably not, especially as you don't really know with titanium pots whether they really are titanium or some kind of weird alloy. You don't know. You don't know. Unless you grind your pot up and snort it, you're probably safe. So stainless steel then? Well, there's a problem with that, and there are much more common issues than aluminium. People think steel is pure, but stainless steel is an alloy between nickel and chromium. And guess what? 10 to 15% of the population, mostly women, but quite a sizable chunk, I think 5% of men, have a nickel allergy, and 1% of the population has a chromium allergy. So it's not necessarily better than aluminium. It could be a lot worse depending if you're allergic or not. 2013 study showed that acidic foods like tomato sauce, it leaches nickel. It's so funny that people going, oh, I wouldn't dare use aluminium. Oh, stainless is safer. Not really, not if you want a bunch of nickel. So that leaves cast iron. It's not very ultralight, is it? And the funny thing is, they always focus on aluminium, and other metals like copper and iron, although similarly probably not a cause of Alzheimer's, have a possible link. So if you're going to be all, oh, aluminium, oh, I might get Alzheimer's, you've got to make sure you're not using galvanized steel, and you're going to make sure you're not using any copper lined pots or brass. That's the other one, brass. So yeah, I think that's what gets me the most, is this, the inconsistency of this woo. I think the main point is you hike what, 14 days, 10 days, 7 days, a few weeks a year. You're using your pot for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe at best. You're not sitting there for hours with your pot. To round up, aluminium, cheap, light, avoid storing acidic foods in that, but there's no risk of dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that, unless you're a rat or a rabbit. If you're a rat or a rabbit, I would avoid them. Make sure it's anodized and avoid the old school 1950s mess tins or something like that. You know, the old Scout ones are probably not a good idea. Even then, I think you're probably going to get more aluminium from your food. Titanium is safe, light, but expensive. It cools very fast. Yeah, it's not so great. There's no heat dispersion, so you probably will burn your food. It's only really good for water. Steel is heavier. It's fine as long as you're not allergic. And cast iron, yeah, that's not really very it's not really very sustainable unless you're car camping. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click like and comment. Oh, you like the comments? They help the channel, even the dodgy ones. And can you do me a favor? If you're interested in subscribing, please click on the videos on screen now that show my hiking vlogs and check those out first. I'm more into producing videos of my trips. The trip videos are more what I do, so I hope you enjoy those, and I'll speak to you soon.